Hi everyone, welcome to the webinar. I can see that we still have some registrations who are still joining us. Scott, hello, how is everything in Texas?
Hi Susan, nice to see you again. Yeah, it's starting to get warm. I think we hit 90 this past weekend, so looking forward to summer.
Typical Texas. Well, it is great to have you here. And Lakshay, thank you so much for joining us. How is everything up in Montreal?
Hi Susan, glad to meet you. So it's the start of bright spring and I'm waiting for summers to arrive.
Wonderful. Well, I know it's beautiful up there. So thank you both of you for being here. And once again, thank you all of the attendees for joining us today for our webinar on supply chain management made resilient with Microsoft Dynamics 365 SCM. I'm Susan from Korcomptenz, welcoming you to our webinar on how Dynamics 365 Supply Chain Management module delivers digital transformation in your supply chain operations. Based on recent research, we observe ecosystems will become the predominant competitive entity. The majority of CSCOs believe that for activities such as decision-making, 82%, scenario planning and modeling, 78%, and marketing intelligence and forecasting, 74%, augmentation is the way forward. To come out of the commoditization trap and differentiate products, manufacturers need to focus on their customers' business outcomes, and to do that across their B2B and B2C customers. Today, we'll focus on how to provide quicker, more accurate information to the customers and suppliers, as well as greatly improve the data used in-house. Manufacturers need more agile factories and also responsive and sustainable supply chains. In today's webinar, we are presenting how intelligent and resilient supply chains can be built. Now, let me introduce the team. Scott Foster, our Senior Director, Manufacturing and Business Consulting Practice, has 25 years of multinational experience in manufacturing and supply chain, focusing on business process optimization, involving various ERP systems and ERP implementations. And Lakshay Upal, our lead consultant, has 14 years of experience in implementing and optimizing supply chain and manufacturing business solutions over various ERPs, building integrations with legacy systems, and has worked on multiple implementations of Microsoft Dynamics AX 2009, 2012, and Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations. Just one more housekeeping point before we begin. There will be a question and answer session after the main presentation. You can ask questions at any time using the panel on the interface. All lines are on mute during and after the session. Korcomptenz is a 17-year-old company headquartered in New Jersey, providing total technology transformation. We service close to about 300 clients globally. Most of our business, about 80%, comes from North America, US and Canada, as well as from Europe and other parts of Asia Pacific and Australia. We have two major operation centers, one out of US and another out of India, which enables us to service a global clientele, providing them with a couple of benefits. One, being able to provide a 24/7 support window, should it be required, and two, we are able to make a judicious use of our resources across these two geographies, being as local as we can, but also engage a remote task force very efficiently. This helps in bringing down the cost of your projects. So typically, we save our customers anywhere from 25 to 40%. We are privileged to be a Microsoft Gold partner, helping customers with innovative technology solutions that address their business challenges and drive their growth. And because our company was started by leaders from system integration backgrounds, we've done a lot of work across multiple industries and front-end technologies. firmly ground on industry best practices, we have developed skills to make our company a one-stop shop, providing end-to-end solutions to our customers. We specialize in Microsoft Dynamics 365 range of products, such as Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations, Dynamics 365 Business Central, Dynamics 365 Advanced Warehouse Management, Dynamics 365 CRM, Power Platform, and the entire Microsoft ecosystem. We elevate the benefits of ERP implementation with the help of cutting-edge Microsoft technologies from the Azure solution stack, like Azure Synapse, IIoT, cognitive services, and machine learning to bring value-added benefits and insights to customers. As you can see, we have a packed agenda today. Firstly, Scott will take us through current industry scenario around supply chain management operations and the need of the hour. Then Scott and Lakshay will highlight some of the Dynamics supply chain management progressions and a number of Korcomptenz solutions addressing current customer challenges. We'll also look at some case studies of our customers' experiences, concluding with a Microsoft Dynamics 365 supply chain management demo, next steps, and followed by Q&A. With this, I will now hand over the stage to Scott to take us through the challenges facing supply chains. Over to you, Scott.
Thank you, Susan. There are many factors pushing companies to find ways to improve the resiliency of their supply chain in order to take advantage of opportunities that arise during periods of uncertainty, but also to make sure they survive in those same periods. Over the past 2 years, the supply chain has been turned upside down by the COVID-19 pandemic, which has exacerbated the need for improved supply chain visibility, automated processes, faster ability to adapt to customer requirements, and an overall rethinking of supply chain in terms of risk and total cost. In addition, the geopolitical risk appears to be on the rise as relationships between countries seem to be unclear. Lastly, the speed of technology can lead to difficult questions of what to do next. These factors have changed the supply chain reliability for all industries. This is where Korcomptenz in Microsoft Dynamics D365 Supply Chain Management can help by providing the expertise and the processes required to position your company to succeed. What are some of the specific supply chain challenges today? First is supply chain visibility. In the past, business systems have been put together by function, but they're not always integrated. This leads to manual work to move data from one system to the other, and the information not being in the hands of the right decision maker at the right time. Customers have become more complex and more demanding in recent years. They demand faster delivery, reduced lead time, and greater variations, all in the face of resource availability issues. Supply chain and manufacturing disruptions is perhaps the greatest common challenge, which has led to major shortages and increased costs. Gartner states as of 2021, 68% of supply chain executives report they have been constantly responding to high impact disruptions over the last 3 years. And most of them did not have time to recover before the next disruptive event hit them. In addition, internal issues are also working against organizations, such as lost internet and high load, leading to system performance issues. Lastly is forecast and production schedule accuracy, which is an age-old problem leading to aged inventory and lost manufacturing time. Technology is a partner for organizations seeking ways to resolve these challenges. There are 4 tools available in Dynamics 365 Supply Chain Management today that can help meet these challenges just discussed. First is demand forecasting with D365 Azure machine learning capabilities, available on both prem and cloud, to help improve your forecasting process, accuracy, and process time. Another feature is the optimized production planning which allows MRP runs during the day, making the most recent data available to help all functional groups make the best decisions. Disruption-free manufacturing and warehousing improves system performance during peak load, as well as keeping operations moving when the internet is unavailable. We will show you how this can be made available. Lastly, D365 has out-of-the-box ISVs available to quickly integrate external systems. We will demonstrate an MES system later in the presentation. Over the next few slides, Lakshay, Upal, and I will provide the details of each of these 4 dynamic supply chain management features available today. I will begin with the Azure Machine Learning Demand Forecasting feature. It is all too often that we hear the forecast was wrong from our manufacturing clients. This is a big challenge for manufacturing organizations today because the implications are great. Longer lead times, more inventory, greater obsolescence, etc. In addition, the process of creating such a forecast is generally long and arduous, with multiple spreadsheets circulating on various emails. Microsoft Azure Machine Learning is a tool that can help your organization improve this critical business process. Later on in the presentation, Lakshay will demonstrate this tool. What can better demand forecasting do for your organization? Improved demand forecasts help organizations minimize their accumulation of unwanted inventory and avoid supply chain disruptions, resulting in lower costs, improved customer service levels, greater sales. I have a great deal of experience working with manufacturing planning organizations. I have seen firsthand the benefits to a team when a good forecast is in place. The supplier on-time delivery improves, the numbers of emergencies reduces, the customer satisfaction increases, all very, very good things. This tool will help your organization realize these efficiencies. How does this forecast tool work? Demand forecast generation starts in supply chain management. Historical transactional data is gathered and populates in a staging table. This staging table is later fed to a machine learning service. We can plug various data sources into the staging table. These data sources can include Microsoft Excel files, CSV files, and data from Microsoft Dynamics AX 2009 and AX 2012. Therefore, we can generate demand forecasts that consider historical data spread across multiple systems. One thing to note is that the master data, such as item names, item numbers, and units of measure, must all be the same across the various data sources. Once the data is available, we can use the demand forecasting machine learning experiments. The system looks for a best fit from numerous out-of-the-box time series forecasting methods to calculate a baseline forecast. The parameters for these forecasting methods are managed in supply chain management, which we'll demonstrate a bit later. The forecasts, historical data, and any changes that were made to the demand forecasts in previous iterations are available in supply chain management. Further, supply chain management can be used to visualize and modify the baseline forecasts. Manual adjustments must be authorized before the forecasts can be used for planning. The final step is to authorize, and then the MRP will include by creating planned orders and messages to deliver the demand, which we will show you later in the demo. Now let me introduce Lakshay Upal to discuss planning optimization. Lakshay?
Thank you, Scott. With the dynamic nature of customer demand, it is becoming essential for many manufacturing companies to have up-to-date MRP information during working hours. The nightly or weekly MRP runs are no longer enough to keep pace with new demands. In this scenario, there is nothing better than a solution which changes your supply and production plans on the fly to meet the ever-changing customer demands. It can be made possible with the planning optimization add-in for Microsoft Dynamics 365 supply chain management. Earlier, the built-in master planning engine had to run at night or outside the working hours. But the new planning optimization feature allows companies to run master planning calculation in Azure cloud outside of their environment to avoid decrease in the system performance and provides a real-time plan. It supports many new functionalities like priority-based planning, which ensures that your urgent demand is prioritized over less important demand during the planning run. Planning optimization can be used in the scenario that involve long master planning runs. So it is specifically designed for very fast calculations that involve very large volume of data. Because it's built as a hyper-scalable multi-tenant service, multiple instances can work together simultaneously to calculate the plan. So what used to take hours now take minutes. With the flexibility to run the plan throughout the day, the lead time is reduced and the material replenishment is quicker, thereby allowing you to maintain lower inventory levels and higher customer service levels. The master planning execution process is displayed in this slide. So when client triggers a planning run, a signal is sent to the cloud planning optimization service. Based upon the signal received, the planning optimization service requests the data required to execute the plan. Through an integrated connector, the information is sent from Dynamics 365 to the planning optimization service, where the required calculations are completed. The planning information, including planned orders, messages, and pegging information, are sent to the supply chain management database via the connector, as well as signals that the planning is complete. Now, with the planning optimization service, the planning is executed ad hoc during the office hours. So whenever the new or changed demands are required to be replenished, the planners can expedite the supply orders instantly. Reacting to the new demands can now be done in near real time. Also, I will demonstrate this functionality later in this session.
Thank you, Lakshay. Manufacturing and warehousing in the cloud and at the edge is a great feature for companies that run 24/7 or must keep key transactions flowing in their manufacturing and warehousing, even when the internet is not available. Microsoft has created a distributed hybrid topology that introduces the concept of scale units. Scale units enable distribution of shop floor and warehouse execution workloads among different environments. This functionality can help improve performance, prevent service interruptions, and maximize uptime. The scale units provide operational scalability, resilience, and reliability for the assigned workloads at separate locations. Each scale unit can be temporarily disconnected from the Cloud Hub environment, and workers can continue to work in the assigned workloads on the edge. By creating dedicated capacity, warehousing and manufacturing can operate with fewer, if any, latency issues, thus improving the overall utilization of the factory. For manufacturing continuity, edge resources allow for the transactional side of the production order to continue during downtimes. To start, the production order must be set up and orders released to the warehouse. Once released, the production order updates are communicated to the scale units, allowing for transactional data against these dedicated resources. The production transactions available today are the clock in, clock out, log in and absence, start job, bundle jobs, report progress, report scrap, indirect activity, break, and report as finished and put away, if the warehousing section is also enabled. From the diagram, you can see the beginning and updates at the end of the production order process are not available to edge activities. The scale units allow for all in-process production order transactions to be performed. I know from past experiences how time-consuming it can be to go back and complete hourly data after a period of downtime. I am sure that no one will miss this activity. Edge transactions are also available for many of the warehousing activities such as PO receipt and put away, inventory movements, cycle counting, purchase orders, sales orders, transfer receipt, transfer issue, replenishment, finished goods put away, co-product and byproduct put away. This feature will continue to evolve to include more transactions essential to keeping your business running without interruptions or latency issues. With that, I will hand back over to Lakshay to review MES ISVs.
Thank you, Scott. Now I will begin with Manufacturing Execution System Integration Framework. So manufacturers often have manufacturing execution systems to control their manufacturing, machine equipments, and human resources. However, it can be a challenge to reconcile such systems with enterprise resource planning systems like Dynamics 365. Today, many manufacturing companies are facing challenges in integrating these two systems. Extended integration development timelines, greater than budgeted cost of integration, scalability, and traceability issues are few amongst these challenges. The MES integration framework in Dynamics 365 supply chain management can help your organization overcome these critical integration challenges. Later in the session, I will demonstrate this tool. How MES integration framework helps your organization. With the introduction of MES integration, the visibility of production floor is not only enhanced, but also the throughput and quality is improved as it unifies data across the ERP and MES. Apart from this, it allows you to track, trace, troubleshoot, and resolve issues by contextualizing MES data. Hence, it provides a faster, easier, and cheaper means of integrating Dynamics 365 with third-party MES system, using business events and interfaces to support key manufacturing execution processes. Also, it shows a centralized dashboard where the event processing history can be monitored. The flow in this slide shows a typical collection of business events, processes, and messages that are exchanged in an integrated solution. We will discuss this process by using a standard production order lifecycle. Once the order is released in the ERP system, a business event is triggered and production order information becomes available in the MES system. Once the MES system has all the information required to start the production order, it will send milestone updates such as start production order timestamp, output quantity, material consumption, production order times, and operation completion to Dynamics 365, keeping both the systems in sync. Lastly, when the production order is completed, the MES will send the production order end message to Dynamics 365. I have set up this particular flow, which I will be showing in the demonstration. With that, I will hand back over to Scott to discuss core solution on supply chain management.
Thanks, Lakshay. One of the most enjoyable parts of our work is helping clients create and implement a value-adding process improvement that saves them a great deal of time and ultimately money. I would like to briefly discuss 5 such unique enhancements that Core and our customers have implemented together. The first is where one of our clients had consistent changing production priorities as well as frequent updates to the production bombs. The client required functionality to automatically generate and update the raw material requisitions needed from the stores. The solution developed by Core allows a raw material requisition to be generated and updated in real time against the production orders, thus eliminating manual intervention of shop floor employees to calculate and raise the requisitions. At one of the chemical manufacturing companies we work with, they had the situation where a single batch contains products with different attributes such as color. Core customized the solution to post multiple grades of an item against the batch order during the report as finished process. Thirdly, the customer required a cost validation before closing the production order. They wanted to know if the estimated value versus the actual production costs did not exceed the predetermined threshold levels. Core's solution allows the company to define the threshold levels for cost difference. The system will warn the users prior to closing orders they might be missing some raw material consumption, which they can then reconcile. One of the companies we work with has a great number of production orders they manage weekly, to the tune of 6,000. From time to time, they require a substitute item to be added to the released production BOM, and sometimes thousands of production orders at a time. To help the customer, we made a customization that would change the production BOM to quantity 0 of the old item and add the new item number and quantity, saving a great number of hours updating each order manually. Lastly, another interesting and great time saver for your AP team is one of our frequently used upgrades where we use machine learning and optical character recognition from Microsoft Power Automate to read PDF invoices, which then populates the ERP with the relevant data to trigger the approval process. This is a great time saver with data entry and reduces the number of corrections to be made. These are only a few of the updates we have made with our customers. The key is to bring together the business need from any of the supply chain functions with technology to find efficiencies to keep or create operating advantages over your competition. With that, I will hand back to Lakshay to provide an in-depth case study.
I am happy to have this opportunity to tell you about a few improvements, accomplishments that we have helped our clients achieved. The case study that I will discuss has new features which have great impact to the company in terms of the cost, quality, and delivery. This case study is where Core is in process of implementing optimized master planning and integrated manufacturing solution for a large process manufacturing company. The case on this slide is a large chemical manufacturing company with manufacturing and distribution units across North America. The company was facing a challenge to quickly accommodate and prioritize the changing customer demands into their production and procurement plan. Hence, they wanted to adjust their plans in real time within the office hours. So, Core has proposed and configured the planning optimization service, which replaced the built-in master planning engine, wherein the master planning is done by using the planning optimization add-in outside the system. It not only allows frequent planning runs due to shorter runtime, but also makes the client confident that their future business growth won't overload the planning system. Apart from this, the company needed a solution to eliminate the integration issues between Dynamics 365 and their third-party manufacturing execution system. So, Core used the standard MES integration framework, which reduced overall implementation and operating cost. Also, it helped client to establish end-to-end visibility and control over the production shop floor. So at Core, we are always on time with the newer updates and providing the solutions to the customers adopting the new update. We will now move on to the system demonstration, and for the purpose of maintaining quality, this next session on demo has been pre-recorded. For the demonstration, we will present three features we have just highlighted at the beginning of webinar. We will begin with the pre-production activities and finish with MES integration with Dynamics 365. We will start with the demand forecasting using machine learning, which is naturally followed by master planning execution using optimized planning, and finish with end-to-end production process using a third-party MES integration. If we look at the flow, we will first start with the demand forecasting process, where the historical data for calculation is processed using machine learning algorithms to provide statistical baseline forecast. The system-generated forecast can then be viewed, adjusted, and authorized by the users. Then, we will go to the master planning process using planning optimization, and we will see how the planning engine uses demands, supplies, on-hand inventories, and planning parameters to generate planning outcome. Finally, we will see how the production orders are executed using standard MES integration framework, and how the information is exchanged between Dynamics 365 and manufacturing execution system. I will walk you through the details of each during the demonstration. So let's get started. Now we will step into Dynamics 365 application and see the demand forecasting process using Azure Machine Learning. So here is the home page of Dynamics 365 system. To access the demand forecasting functionality, we need to go to the master planning module over here, and we can see the demand forecasting setups over here. Let's start with the key on this particular page. The first thing we need to configure before using the Azure Machine Learning is to set up the Web Services API key and the Web Service Endpoint address, which we can get from Azure Machine Learning Experiment, which we are using. After that, we'll go to the General tab. Here we can set up the historical transaction types that are going to be included when statistical baseline forecast is getting generated. It can include both dependent demands and independent demands. For example, if only the sales order option is set to yes, the system will calculate the independent demands only. On the other hand, if I select the production line option as yes, then the dependent forecast will also be calculated. Then we can select the forecast generation strategy, decide what generation strategy is for our organization. So we have options like Azure Machine Learning, copy or historical demand, and Azure Machine Learning services. So we can use Azure Machine Learning if we want to use a tool to generate the statistical forecasting, or we can use copy or historical demand, which creates the forecast by just copying the historical data. And then the Azure Machine Learning service is the new machine learning solution for Azure. So today we will be using Azure Machine Learning to showcase the features of this tool rather than copy or historical demand. Next, we have our forecast dimensions. So these indicates the level of details that the forecast is defined for. By default, it will always be per company, per site, and per item allocation keys. But as you can see, there are many available options which we can add to the dimensions. We can generate the forecast by warehouse, by inventory statuses, customer groups, customer accounts, country, and states, along with the items and their dimensions. So next is the item allocation key. So the item allocation keys establish the group of items. Like we can create a separate allocation keys for different production lines, or to group the items like raw materials and finished goods. A demand forecast is calculated for an item and its dimension only if the item is a part of an item allocation key. We can set up different forecasting strategies over here for different item allocation keys. Next, I will quickly jump over the forecast algorithm parameters that are mandatory to be set up before generating the forecast. So for this, we are again going to master planning module, and here are the forecast algorithm default parameters. So as we can see, we have the first parameter is a confidence level. So a confidence interval consists of a range of values that acts as a good estimate for the demand forecasting. So we have selected 95% over here, but it means that there is a 5% chance that my forecast could be outside of the confidence interval range. We can select different time series models. So out of box we are having ARIMA, ETS, STL, ETS plus ARIMA, ETS plus STL, and all. So the best practice is to select all, and for this demo I am selecting all. By doing this, I am allowing system to suggest and select the best fit model. As we can also select some minimum values to use for prediction. If similarly we can have the maximum values to be used for the predictions. We can select other parameters like missing value substitution, which specifies how the gaps in the historical data are filled. There are other parameters like seasonalities. We can have a test size percentage. So these were the key setups which we need to do before jumping into our forecast. So now we will see the steps to generate a demand forecasting. So in order to generate a demand forecast, we have to go to the generate statistical baseline forecast screen. So this is where we are going to define our historical horizons. So we can select a date range for the historical data to be pulled for forecast generation. So this is the start date of the new forecast. Then we can also have the buckets. The available options are day, week, and month. For this demonstration, I am selecting month because I want my forecast to be on monthly basis. Then we have a number of buckets to generate the forecast. We can define it in the forecast horizon fields. So suppose we want forecast for next 6 months, we can enter 6 over here. Next is the freeze timeframes field, wherein we can define the buckets where we don't want our forecast to be editable. So for example, I can enter 1 here if we want first month forecast to be freezed. Then if we have done the parameters setup, then we can generate the forecast in a batch. We can set up a batch processing so that forecast can be generated in the background, or we can click OK to run this forecast right away. So I'm clicking OK to execute the forecast. So once the forecast is generated, it will be available under adjusted demand forecast page. As we can see, the operation is completed. We can go and check the outcome of our forecast. So we'll go to master planning module and click on adjusted demand forecast page. So based upon the forecast dimensions we have configured, the lines will be generated. So here you can see the forecasted quantity, and this is our forecast dimensions like company, site, allocation keys, item number, color, size, configuration, and style. As you can see, the first column is grayed out because the freeze timeframes selected was 1. So we cannot edit the forecast for the first month. Furthermore, we can also make manual adjustments to the forecast. So these will be bolded in order to track the changes in the data. For example, after discussion, I want the quantity to be 3000. So I can change it, and then I can see it is getting bolded. So if we want to check further, we can go to the demand forecast lines, and there we can see the original quantity that was generated by the system and the new quantity amended by the user. Let's go back. Furthermore, suppose this item has multiple variants, and if we want to see the aggregate forecast and look at the consolidated quantity for the item, we can change the forecast dimensions from this screen only and remove the product dimensions from the selection. To do so, we need to click over here and click on the change forecast dimensions. So here I am removing the product dimensions, color, size, configuration, and styles over here, and clicking OK. Now we can see the item-wise forecast instead of item-wise and variant-wise. To further analyze the data, we can go to the forecast line details page. Here we can see the historical demand based on the time frame we have selected and the historical forecast at that time. And in the forecast section, we have our current forecast quantities along with the manual adjustments which we have done. So I have increased the quantity of this particular item by 1900. So it is being displayed over here. Furthermore, we can also see the confidence intervals apart from having the forecasting model that has been used for this particular item and mean absolute percent error. Also, if we drag down, it has a graphical representation of the forecast versus the historical demand over these time frames. Let's now go back to our adjusted demand forecasting page. So this is our finalized forecast. Now we can authorize this adjusted forecast to be used further. Now, in order to do so, we can click on Authorize Adjusted Forecast, and we can select the date range for which we want to authorize the forecast. We can also select the company and other details and click OK to authorize it. So once it is authorized, it will be available in the demand forecasting page to be used in the master planning. So let's go to the demand forecasting lines. So here is our approved and authorized demand forecast quantities, and this can further be exported into Excel. We can do modifications and can import back into the system before running the master planning. So this was all about the demand forecasting using machine learning in Dynamics 365. So next we'll see the master planning and scheduling. So first, we will look at the key setups and configurations related to master planning using planning optimization service. To turn on the planning optimization functionality, we need to navigate to the master planning module over here, and under setups, we can see the planning optimization parameters. So first of all, the connection status should be connected. If the connection status is not connected, we'll not be able to enable the planning optimization service. So here you can say I have already enabled the planning optimization service so that we can utilize this. As we have discussed about this service, which allows us to perform the master planning calculations outside of our environment and database, hence improving performance and allowing us to run our master planning even during regular office hours. Now let's see the next setup. So we will now execute our analysis for planning optimization fit. So for that, we need to go to master planning module, and under setups, we are having planning optimization fit analysis. So planning optimization fit analysis helps you to identify where the results might different built-in master planning engine and planning optimization. In order to execute it, we need to click on run analysis. And here we can see the results. It shows the places where the planning service won't honor our current setup. So it's an optional setup, but it gives us an idea of how our current production settings fits with the planning optimization service. Now let's go ahead and run the master planning. In order to do so, we need to go to the planning optimization workspace over here, and we'll click on run master planning. So here, as we can see, we can select our master plan. Let's go ahead with the static plan only. And we can enable the auto forming option if we need auto forming of the orders. Now we can execute the planning batch job in a batch by enabling the batch processing, or we can click OK and run the planning in the real time. In the interest of time, I have already executed the planning engine, and here is the outcome. So we can see the results. There are planned purchase orders, planned production orders, and planned transfer orders suggested by the system. System is also suggesting delays wherever applicable. So in the backend, system nets off the demands like sales forecast, open sales orders, and from production order lines, and supplies in the form of open purchase orders, open production orders, and transfer receipts, along with the on-hand inventories, to suggest the planned order quantities. System also schedules the order based upon the availability of the resources if we are using finite capacities. Now let's go to the planned order for one of the finished goods, say FG001. So we'll select the FG1 and we'll look at the explosion. In order to do so, we click on the view and click on the explosion form. So we can select any of the planned production order and see on the explosion form. Here it will show the related planned production orders, and on-hand available inventories and existing orders if any. Now there is also an option to click on the Gantt chart and see the graphical representation of these planned orders. We can also control the timescales, colors, and setup for this Gantt chart. Now let's go back to our planning workspace and see how we can take advantage of planning optimization service. Suppose we want to change our forecast. We'll go to the static plan from here, and we can change our forecast model to trade promotions model to see how the forecast comes. Now we'll go back, we'll run the plan again, and we'll see the results within real time. Now, once our planning outcomes and planned orders are finalized, we can go ahead and firm the planned orders. In order to firm the planned orders, we need to select the order and click on firm from here. Now we can click OK to firm the order. So once the order is firmed, it will disappear from the planned order screen and it will be available in all production orders screen. So now in the next session, I will walk you through the steps to process the production order. For this demonstration, we have enabled the standard integration with third-party manufacturing execution system. And we will see how the production order in the system will be automatically updated by MES. In order to access the production orders, we will go to all production orders page, and here we will select the desired production order to be processed. Now we can see the status of production order is scheduled because we have created it by firming the planned order. If we create a new production order manually from this particular page, then the production order status will be created. Now we can also go to the routes over here and see the operations as well as the start date, start times, and end date and end times. Now let's go back to our production order, and the next step, we will release the production order from here. I'll click OK. Once the production order is released, it will automatically be available in the MES system with the help of a business event. Now let's go to the manufacturing execution system integration page, which is a centralized dashboard where we can track the event processing history and troubleshoot and fix the process that failed. So let's move further to process the production order and see how we will receive messages from MES system on this particular screen. So once the production order is started in MES, we will receive a start production order message in this particular page. So you can see we receive a start production order message and it will be automatically processed by the system through a batch job. So once it is processed, we can go back to our production order screen and see the status of production order will be changed to started. Now, once the raw materials defined in the formula or BOM are consumed in MES, it will send the report material consumption message and it will automatically be processed. We can see over here. It is now queued. So now it is processed. We can also see the raw content where we can see the details of like production order numbers, picking list lines, etc. and the message details in a tabular format like this, which has been sent by MES system to Dynamics 365, and also we can see the log. So once the picking list message is processed, we can see the picking list will be posted against the production order. In order to do so, we can go to the production order screen and click on View tab. Here we can see the picking list, and this is our posted picking list journal. And we can also see the raw materials that were defined in the formula or BOM and their quantities which have been posted. Now let's go back to the production order. So now in order to post the machine and labor hours, MES will send the route card message and system will automatically process it. Let's see over here. So this is the route card message. Now system is processing it. Once it is processed, we can see the posted route card journal on the production order. Let's go to production order and click on route card. Here the route card journal is available, and these are the operations and the times that have been posted against the production order. Let's go back to our production order. So next, when the output is entered in the MES system, we will receive report as finished message from MES, and it will be automatically processed. Let's go to manufacturing execution system integration page, and we have received report as finished from MES message, and now system is processing it. So once this message is processed, we can go to the production order and go to report as finished journal, and see here is our report as finished journal. So system will post it automatically as per the good and scrap quantities shared by MES system. So now we have all the steps done. The next step is to close the production order. So when the production order is closed in MES, it will also be ended in Dynamics 365, and we will receive a end production order message. Let's go to manufacturing execution system integration screen, and here we can see the end production order message. System is now processing the message. Once it is processed, we can go back to our production order and can see the status of production order is ended. So we have seen the end-to-end production process with MES integration enabled.
Thank you, Lakshay, for the fantastic demonstration. I would like to thank everyone today for joining our webinar. I hope you found it both useful and informational. The next steps could be one of a few different approaches that we take based on your current situation. If you are currently not using Microsoft solutions and are looking to make a digital transformation, then we can perform a requirement study and prepare a detailed solution to present to your team. If you are using Microsoft Supply Chain Management or other Microsoft products, we can work with your team to do a strategic assessment and to get more value out of your Microsoft solutions, and or to help stabilize your current environment. We can provide additional reporting capabilities, integrations, business intelligence, IoT solutions, Power Automate, etc. If you have questions and you would like more details, please add those questions to the webinar, or leave your contact information and we will get back with you shortly. Now back to Susan for the final Q&A. Susan?
Thank you, Scott. Thank you so much. So we'll now be moving on to the Q&A, and we already have a few questions coming in. Please use the GoToWebinar interface to submit your questions. And here is one question. Are there any new features in the system which can be enabled if we use planning optimization as compared to built-in master planning?
So I would like to take that question, Susan.
Great.
That's a great question. So yes, there are many new functionalities that you can enable if you are using planning optimization. First, priority-based planning, which allows planning optimization to generate the planned orders based upon the priorities instead of the requirement dates. It can process all the highest priority orders first. Another new functionality is a query-based forming, where you can define a query to select the planned orders based upon the priorities and the properties. I hope this answers your question. Back to you, Susan.
Thank you, Lakshay. And here's another question. During the demonstration of the ML demand forecasting feature, the testing percentage was discussed briefly. Could you expand on what that parameter does or changes?
Susan, I can take that question. Yeah, I believe I know what they're referring to. So this is a typical machine learning validation where the system takes the data set and segregates a certain percentage to use to validate the data set once the model has been created. So the first step will be the system takes the data, creates a model, then creates a prediction for the values of the data that was left out of the data set. That's the percentage that you're setting. And then once it has created that prediction, it takes the prediction and compares it against the actual value to see how good the model predicted the real value. And it gives a report to tell that information to make the users aware of how accurate the model predicted the actual. That is what that factor sets. Typically, you don't want to set it extremely high because the more data in your model, the better the model generally predicts. So we generally start with somewhere between 10 and 20% for that factor, and shift lower as time goes on and we're comfortable that the model predicts what we expect. I hope that has answered your question completely. Back to you, Susan.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you for answering that. And it looks like we've got one more question. Here it is. Typically, how many different invoice types do you need to teach the system when implementing the AP Power app system?
I can take that question, Susan. So, as per our experience, we see around 10 to 20 invoice types that we need to train each company where we implement. So this will usually cover between 80 to 90% of the invoices coming from suppliers, a great reduction in manual entry and a huge time saver. I hope this answers your question. Back to you, Susan.
Thank you so much. And as we are running to the end of our webinar time, we actually have some other questions in our queue, so we will have to email you our response to those. Thank you so much all for your patient listening. This brings us to the end of the webinar. As a next step, we would encourage you to connect with us one-on-one as we are open to engage with you for a one-on-one strategic assessment of your requirements at no obligation. We hope you would take advantage of this limited time offer and contact us at sales@korcomptenz.com. Thank you, and we all hope you have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you, Scott and Lakshay.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Susan. Thanks all.